Hello friends, my name is Magic Cake. You know those photos and tutorials that constantly plague popular websites about recyclable crafts? Because everyone has spare shipping pallets and gutters lying around. It's easy to have a craft claiming to be eco-friendly when one is purposely buying pots and breaking them in order to recycle. Actually, those look pretty cool, so today I'm going to show you another one of those, namely paper bead bracelets from old magazines. Doesn't that sound more practical? Well, only if you have all these other things. An old magazine, preferably one with bright colors in it, a marker or pen, a ruler, scissors, toothpicks, and optionally a paper bead roller, any kind of styrofoam piece, this one's been through a lot, tacky glue, a paintbrush you don't care about, Mod Podge or optionally diamond glaze, seed beads, stretchy cord. I used 0.5mm thickness, but 0.7 should be good too, and super glue. Step 1. Getting your pieces. Flip through an old magazine, inevitably getting sidetracked reading a random article, and find the colorful page. Carefully rip off the page you want to use, trying not to rip too far into the page. Crap! Lay down your piece and position your ruler next to the short side of your paper. Then use a pen to mark every 1/2 inch of paper, then do the same to the other side. And that's when I remembered that you're not supposed to mark that on the colored side of the sheet. Okay. Next, move the paper so that the long side faces you and line up your ruler so that one end is lined up with the mark closest to you and the other end one mark back, so diagonally. Draw this diagonal line with a pen. Next, move the ruler so that the two marks line up with each other, so straight. Draw another line at this point. Now you should have two long triangles drawn out on your page, the ends alternating as you go. Repeat this until you have the desired amount of triangles drawn out. The average wrist requires about 12 beads, but I've seen lots of people who fit with 11 or 12 beads, or 14, so experiment to see what size is best for you, but for now, 12 is the average, so I recommend starting with that. Now take your scissors and cut along the line as best you can in order to get a bunch of long triangles. Step 2. Rolling them up. Deal with it. Take a toothpick and one of your triangle pieces and roll it up. There's no good way to describe how, just do your best and keep your piece center as you roll it up, and also roll it tightly, especially at the beginning so that your paper stays on the toothpick better as you're rolling it. So good luck with that. It's easier the more you practice, so if a couple look a little uneven or if they rip, it's okay, just keep on trucking. Once you roll the piece up until there's about 1.5 inches left on the ends, put on a thin string of tacky glue on the tail and continue rolling the piece up to its entirety. As you roll it, there will most likely be some excess glue left on your finger. Use it to spread the glue on the surface of the bead, which will further seal it against unraveling and stuff. After you're done, stick your bead onto your styrofoam piece, keeping it upright to dry. Repeat this process for the rest of your magazine scraps. Step 3. Glazing them. Take a paintbrush and some diamond glaze or Mod Podge. Hang on a sec. Quick thing about these two, both are good, but I personally like the diamond glaze more. The only thing about it is that you can only get that online. The Mod Podge, however, is much easier to access, but just not as good, so consider this when getting supplies. But I digress. Get some glaze of some kind and paint it over the surface of your bead. I like to do this by keeping the brush stationary while trolling the toothpick to cover up the bead nice and evenly. Let it dry on the styrofoam piece, then put 2 more coats on there. Remember, it's paper, so the more glaze you put on there, I think the more stronger your beads are going to be, and they're going to last longer. So I recommend you put 3 coats of glaze on all the beads. Now it's time for Magic Cake's helpful hint of the day. If you're going to make a lot of beads in bulk and glazing them, don't put the beads back down randomly. Put them in a line as you go. That way, when you're done, you'll know what bead you painted first and last, and then add the second coat accordingly. When making beads in bulk, by the time you're done painting the last one, the first one will have dried and will be ready to add another coat, so you never have to test all of them before painting again or have to wait for all of them to dry, and yeah. It just kind of organizes them better. And you probably could have figured that out in like 2 seconds, but I decided to share anyway. So there. Wait, one more thing. Try not to overflow your glaze from the bead onto the toothpick, or else when you try to remove the bead, it's glued on there and you can't get it off. The best way I usually remove the beads is the twist and pull method. Step 4. Beading! Once your beads are completely dry and off your toothpicks, it's time to bead them on bracelet. Pick out 12 seed beads, I was feeling the light blue ones this time, and cut out 11 inches of stretchy cord. It's good to have some leeway. Tape one end of your stretchy cord down and bead the seed beads and the paper beads alternatively. I like to start with a seed bead, then a paper bead, then a seed bead again, and so on. Once your beads are beaded, carefully remove the tape and it's time to knot it together. Step 5. Finishing it! The knots you need are relatively simple. Knot 1 is just a regular knot. Just put the right string over the left one and under as well. Yeah, like that. And pull it tight. The second knot is just like that, except instead of going under the left string just once, you do it twice. Looking something like that, or something, I hope it's good. The third knot is the same as the first one, just right over left and under and pull tight. You may want to test your knots by pulling on the bracelet a little bit before continuing. After your knots are nice and secure, trim the edges with your scissors, leaving a little extra room, but not so close to the knot as to accidentally undo the knot if tugged on too much. The last step is to take your super glue and put a generous amount of it on your knot. But what actually happened was my cap was glued shut, and while trying to pry it open, the container broke, spilling super glue all over my hands, leaving me to run to the nearest sink and try to wash it off, but to no avail, and now there's a bunch of super glue on my fingers. Moral of the story, be careful while handling your super glue. It doesn't come off for a while. So after you get the super glue onto the knot and pull it into one of the paper beads, it will be glued there, further securing the knot and hiding it so it will make the bracelet look more seamless. So there you have it. Now you have a beautiful handmade eco-friendly paper bead bracelet. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye! This video is dedicated to my family, cause why not? Mom, Dad, William, Johnny, you're the best. Thanks for always loving and supporting me. This is good.